Are live with my good friend Eric Grundhofer. Eric, you are the founder and CEO of RoyalReputation.io, and I am going to reveal some of my secrets. So, what you ought to know about kind of how we do business, Eric, we are booked. I have 12 to 18 sales meetings every week from now, already scheduled through the middle of July. And one of the main reasons, now we have some really effective things that we do in leveraging platform and making those connections. But I got to tell you, the one thing that we're going to be talking about is impacting sales on such an enormous basis. And if you're watching right now, shut all your other windows, pay attention, because this is going to impact your sales on such an incredible degree. Right now, Eric, I think 80+% of people watching this, you are making sales way too difficult because you are not paying attention to how consumers buy. And you're not paying attention to consumer behavior. And I don't care who you sell to. Everyone's a consumer and everybody does the same thing. And Eric, what we're talking about is your online reputation. And this matters big time. I'm going to throw it over to you for mechanics, and we'll talk about exactly how that gets done. But first off, I just want to say thank you so much for joining to kind of talk about this. And I'm so grateful for everybody who's watching. Listen, post your comments below. I'm a 14-year consumer expert studying lead on consumer behavior. My friend Eric Grundhofer is one of the smartest guys I know for leveraging existing platforms, working with Google, and making sure that when consumers, your customers, are checking you out, they love what they see. Eric, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Josh. I really appreciate this. And I know you're busy, so your time is just thank you for your time in general and having me on this. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, well, let's help some good people, because there's some great business owners that are watching right now. And they're probably, they probably look at the sales process and they're probably thinking, why is this so hard? And I got to tell you that the reason why it is hard is because you are not truly appreciating consumer behavior. Let's talk about how people do business today. Eric, I'll get your point of view on this first.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it varies from industry to industry, obviously. So based off of, if you're looking for a product or you're looking for a service, I'll give you an attorney friend of mine who's also a client that I work with. The first thing people do with him is they go look at his reviews. They look at his reviews, and then they look at where he's located. And then they ask him every single time, how long have you been in business? Because what they're worried about is being scammed, right? So they're worried about someone, and he doesn't even, the thing about him too, he's a car accident attorney. He doesn't even collect a check until they get paid. So their worry is not even, they shouldn't be worried at all, right? So they'll check every single one of his reviews. So with his campaign specifically, our main objective, not only social media, our main objective there is review, asking every single client that's ever had a good experience with him to leave something positive if they had a good experience on Google for him, so people can see those reviews coming in. That also, Google loves that. That pushes us up in the search results. That pushes the website up. That pushes social media up. And then every single one of your shared, earned, and owned assets is on there. And then sometimes, not always, but sometimes with his case specifically, someone will jump over, and of course they're going to check what's he doing on social, what's he look like, has he posted? And if you haven't posted since December 2020 and we're 6 months into 2021, you might lose that client because that's a red flag. Like, that's all they're looking for is red flag. Why didn't he post? Is he out of business? Like, what's going on? Like, it just doesn't make you look real, right? So for that, we always have the steady heartbeat of social media, doing those things consistently, posting 3 to 5 times a day on the platforms that require 3 to 5 times a day posting. Like something like LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't like when you post 3 to 5 times a day. Now I'm getting a little off topic, but LinkedIn likes when you post once a day. If not, every time you post, it buries that other post. So one a day post on there has the better chance of getting more attention than that. Anyways, sorry about that. But yeah, so that's for that service in particular, its reviews, just kind of like, an Amazon product. My wife is constantly looking at the reviews on all these products she's getting on Amazon for her 3 times a day Amazon orders that are hitting our doorstep. So there's that. And then the other thing is, so if it's a service that's maybe like mine, some people do check the reviews, but really it's what type of content is he creating? What's his brand look like? Does his brand align with my brand?
Yes.
Like, do I believe in the things that he's doing? Do I think we would work well together from the vibe I'm getting from his brand? And that's really what it is about setting that tone with that customer. You're not going to win everyone, and that's fine. But as long as you across the board, you have a consistent brand, a consistent tone, and you're doing all the right things and you're creating good content on social media, that's what a lot of people are going to look into. So those are the only areas that I know personally. And Josh, maybe you have more experience with the actual consumer behavior end of it, but that for me is where we focus on, because all of those things work together to create your reputation online. And then that's how we get more and more leads coming through, whether it be contact forms, request estimates, if it's the right client for the request estimate, or phone calls. And those are the 3 things that we focus on there.
Yeah. So your website, your online reputation, your how you show up on Google, your social media, all of that should be your number one salesperson, because, and again, Eric, as you were talking about, it's not so much about what you're saying, but what people want to know, what your customers want to know is, what are your users, what are your customers saying? That's all they care about, right? You could say anything and it may or may not be true. But
right.
Again, how consumers react, or what they're looking for today is they're looking for user-generated content. And even it's wonderful that you showcase reviews on your site, and you should do that, but that's not as impactful as what feels like very native, very just authentic buzz around what you're doing. That is going to be about the most trustworthy activity that folks are going to be looking for. One book that I'm a huge fan of is by Mark Schaefer, called Marketing Rebellion. And he was talking about this years ago, right? And we've all known this, right? It's this moving, because in this noisy world where everybody's broadcasting an advertising message, to be able to just let your customers do the speaking for you really matters. And being out and available and in the community and on those stages, all of this stuff shows that you are a human-run business. You work with other humans and you serve other humans, and other humans like you. Because at the end of the day, people don't do business with products. They don't do business with services. They do business with people. It's always about the people.
Exactly. And so on the other end of that, letting your clients speak for you, you have to, the content that you're putting out, even if it's your brand and you're on brand, you still have to stay authentic to yourself. So don't fake it. Don't pretend to be something you're not. I hope that that's not the message I was conveying. So you were just saying when they need to see the person that they're working with. And that's such a good point, because when you're putting content out on social media, people will like to see who you are. They will like to see you, but you have to be your authentic self. Let them get to know you better. And I promise you that alone is going to be the biggest sales tool that you'll ever have. You'll close more deals on being your authentic self than you ever will on anything else.
Always.
100%. It's absolutely. And you obviously got to be a good person to have a good product. It's the whole package, but you got to start there, and then it'll all work out.
So Eric, I'm putting this on screen right now. And again, you're a reputation expert. And so we'll talk about the kinds of people that you work with and the outcomes that you help develop. But before we do, Eric, you're a friend of mine. You offered to do this. And that is, let's help some folks. And because right now, listen, I interview, 10, 12 podcast guests a week. These are 6- and 7-figure business owners. And one thing I do as soon as we get on that call, or a few minutes before, is I start pulling up their website, do a Google search on them. I'm pulling up their LinkedIn. I'm looking at all that stuff. And Eric, and I know there are a lot of companies that could be selling so much more. They could be having such a higher conversion rate if they took some of this stuff seriously. Now, I see the players, and the players definitely, like, they get this stuff buttoned down. They know that folks are checking them out. This is what consumers do. They go before they book in a meeting with you, before they they buy your $1.99 product. They're still going to read reviews because no one wants to be a sucker. So right here on the page, let's see, right? Yeah, there we go. Eric, you've agreed to do free reputation audit. It's not a big sales come on or anything like that. And by the way, thank you so much. If for anyone who comments below, ask your questions. Listen, you got a 14-year consumer expert. You got an expert in reputation management and SEO. We're here to help you on this Thursday afternoon. All right. And so we're going to go through some best practices, some things you can do right now. But Eric, I wanted to point that out, that you've agreed to do a free, just 30-minute. Let's pull someone's stuff up, give them some great ideas. And again, you can do that at royalreputation.io. And down at the bottom, there's a little button, and that button says, let's see, I can pull it up over on this screen. It says, schedule a free consultation powered by Calendly.
I love Calendly.
So, go ahead and grab that 30 minutes with Eric. I can vouch for Eric. Eric's a good guy. Eric's looked over my stuff. I listen very closely to what Eric has to say when he's like, Josh, did you know ... And I'm like, oh no, right? Because that's the thing, Eric, and this is my next, kind of my next conversation thing I wanted to talk about is that it's really hard to be good at all things when you're in business for yourself. And one of the things that absolutely suffers is, these little details out there that we don't stop to think like a consumer, and we forget because we're inside the bottle. We can't read the label from inside the bottle. And so that's why it's really important that you surround yourself with experts and folks like Eric, who are, again, willing to, visit with you for free, which I really appreciate. Again, Eric is good people. I can vouch for Eric. All right. So Eric, tell me about this, like the kind of the behavior of a business owner and why we don't often, I kind of teased it a little bit. Why is this a problem for so many business owners?
So their reputation in general, you mean, is like the problem?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
It's a lot of people, it's just not the first thing they think of. So I'll give you an example. I currently have a client right now. They do pay-per-click with me. So it's nothing reputation management related at all. They came to me, asked me to. They're a friend of a friend. I was like, listen, I'll take care of you. Don't go to another company. They will, they'll way overcharge you. So I'm giving them a deal. Now they want to do social media with me. They've been hounding me about it for a while. And I know that sounds strange. It does not happen often. So I'm not like saying, oh, they're hounding me. So they're asking me about it constantly all the time. So I finally had the time to sit down and talk to him and go over everything with him. And he literally shot me a text that said, listen, here's the truth. This just is not important right now to me. And I have a million other things on my plate that take priority over this. And generally, that is what happens. So it was a Generator Supercenter client. He's such a great guy, and I've had him for the last 18 months. And he's really cool. And I talked to him out, but he's busy. So the reality is they're busy, and they think that this is going to take up all of their time. So the reality is it's not. If they can set an hour aside to discuss with me their needs, that's why you take my team and I'm an extension of your team at that point. And all it requires is a couple of approvals on content and certain things, a couple questions, but we front load it as much as possible. So that first hour is like a discovery meeting that we can absolutely like open that time for you. So down the road, we don't need you. You know what I mean? So my first thing to him is always like, hey, I get it. Give me an hour, not even. Give me 30 minutes. And I promise you won't hear from me again until we're doing what we have to do. Right. So it's just time. And they think it's going to be way more time consuming. It is. And then the second thing off that is people are scared of what they don't know. So if it's someone that, is not super familiar with social media, maybe they have a Facebook and they don't really use it that often, but they're definitely not on Instagram, and they definitely have a LinkedIn, but they remember LinkedIn when it was just a recruiting tool and not a platform you post content. And they definitely don't know what TikTok is or Snapchat. It's a little scary, right? You're like, I have to be on all these things. You immediately get overwhelmed and everything. So it's them being overwhelmed because they're scared of the unknown, and then time. Time, because they think that it's going to be this giant thing that they don't know about. And that's where it starts.
Yeah, so that's why it's really helpful to work with someone who's an expert in this, just to help you prioritize. Eric, one thing I liked, one exercise I like to go through with people on the subject of authority and reputation is, let's say that see my green straw here. This is my boba tea straw right here. This is one of these big ones. Okay, but this thing is magic, and when I wave this over your head, what's going to end up happening for the person who's watching, only if you're watching. If you're just passively listening, it won't work, right? But if you're actively watching me right now, I'm going to wave this over your head, and I am going to imbue you, is that a good word? With 10 times the authority in your industry than you currently have. All right? Ready? Make sure we got eye contact, and poof. You now have 10 times the industry authority or in your market than you currently have. Now, let me ask you a few questions. Imagine now you have 10 times the authority than you previously did. How is this going to impact your inbound sales opportunities? If you had 10 times the authority, how do you think that this would impact your joint venture, strategic alliance partnerships, like people reaching out to you and like, hey, let's do something together? Like, who is that going to be? Are they higher in authority now that you've got that increase in authority? Speaking opportunities. How do you think that this is going to impact your conversion rate on sales? Like, if you've really taken this seriously, you now have 10 times the authority. This is what we're talking about. Right? And when you have good authority, right? So for example, you could do a Google search for my name right now, and I can tell you what you're going to find, right? It's pretty good because I've spent a lot of time and effort to be good, to do the things that Google wants to reward you for. Right? Exactly. So that's being out and about. It's going and serving without any immediate expectation of reward. Serving as a guest on podcasts, creating your own content, maxing out your own. And listen, this is not going to get done in a day. This is you're going to do this one bite at a time. What I like to talk about, Eric, is, and let you give your prescription here, but I say, listen, what I want you to do is 1 hour a week. I want you to block it off. You can make it Fridays at 4 p.m. when no one wants to, trust me, no one wants to book a time with you at 4 p.m. on Friday. What they want to do, what you should be doing during that time is work on your authority. It could be something like, adding to your LinkedIn profile, maybe sharing or scheduling content for the week ahead that is going to be truly impactful for your audience. It could be your own content. It could be, creating more profiles on directories and beefing up those profiles. It could be reaching out and, suggesting partnership opportunities. These all count for this. And not only should you be doing this personally, but you need to get your team enrolled in this. And so one thing, Eric, that I hear from folks is they'll say things like, man, Josh, I can't believe you're like here and you're there. And like, how do you do all that? I can tell you it's because I have a really good team. Like, all I have to do is show up, hit my mark, and I don't edit my own podcast. I don't book my own podcast guest appearances. That's all done for me, right? And that will happen in time, but you got to start getting the momentum in that direction. So that's kind of my initial recommendations for some things that you can be doing. And of course, the why behind it. Eric, any tips on what you would recommend someone do if they really wanted to start taking this seriously, whether or not they're actively working with you? What should they absolutely be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you said literally everything that I was going to say, but I'm gonna hedge a little bit off of that and just tell everyone, I've been doing this for 10 years. Josh's been doing this for 14. And literally anyone can do what I do. They really can. And I'm not trying to sell myself short. I don't know if that shoots myself in the foot. But what I mean is everything that I do, I've just come up with processes, as Josh said. So you come up with processes, and then obviously I don't have to learn these things on the fly. But it's been 10 years of compiling all this information and to do all those things, right? So I say this to let you guys let your guard down in saying that everyone can do it. I don't want you to think that it's this big scary thing that you can't. So as Josh said, you have to schedule out your time. And batching content is a great way to, if you're talking about posting content in general, and that's a big time consumer. Batching content's huge.
You'll drive yourself crazy if you think that you have to come up with fresh content every day. That's hard. Can I share my little hack on that before we continue,
Absolutely,
Eric, with your list?
Absolutely.
So here's what I do. I take an index card and throughout the week, I'm going to come up with ideas. If I sit down and I'm looking at a blinking cursor, it's going to drive me crazy. And because of that, I'm never going to do it. If, however, I keep a notepad or an index card, and every time something comes up and I just jot it down, and then what I do is I go and I say, I've got this 30 minutes or 60 minutes set aside. And in that 30, 60 minutes, I'm going to record all of those videos on my phone. And then I'm going to upload those to Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever. Someone on my team's going to take it from there, right? And so now this ends up being magical, right? Yeah. It's not that difficult if you're looking, okay, I got 7 things I'm going to talk about. Okay, bam, here we go. And then you just record 7 1-minute videos, all right? That does not take much time because most of the knowledge is already up here. You just need the prompt. And if you try to remember all the things that happen in a week and you're like, okay, well now you have to write this down in real time. I'm telling you, this is how you do it. And then what you do is you record it all in one fell swoop. If you're talking 60-minute videos, maybe you got 2 minutes prep in between each one. So you're talking 3 minutes for each 1-minute video. So you're 3 minutes times 7, that's going to take you 21 minutes. You can do that in a 30-minute and still have 9 minutes left over. And now you have 7 pieces of content that not only can your person take and kind of clean them up and get them out on, you can repurpose that in many different ways. You can take the text from that. You can make sure it gets out on all your social media channels. And how cool would that be if you had a new 1-minute video that was going out on all your social media platforms? Every single day you've got something. This is the fastest, easiest way I know how to do that.
Exactly. And do the same thing if you don't like being on video, if you're not comfortable being on video like this. There's 2 things to that. Josh would maybe say, get comfortable, learn it, do it, get comfortable with it and keep going. I would also say that. But then if your strength is you're photogenic, you want to be, you could do the same thing with pictures. Pick out 10 different outfits, do the same time frame Josh just said, set your camera up, take your outfits, edit them for Instagram, whatever it is, and put those out. Mix those with the videos. Oh, what if it's blogs? What if it's written word? That's your thing. You want to do 1,500 word blogs a month. That's your goal. You want to release them every single Monday. Sit down, like Josh said, write. I don't know how long it takes. I'm not a writer. I'm the worst writer in the world. I don't know how long it takes to write those things. But do that on a Monday. Do it for 2 hours. Sit down 2-3 hours, whatever it may be, but get it out ahead so you're scheduling it. So the reality is, even if you combined the video, the photos, and the blogs, and you did all 3 of those things yourself, if you're a one-man band like that, 1 day's worth of work and you have a whole month's worth of content. And not even 1 day, if you really said 5 hours, right? So I mean, that's what I would do. And that's just content alone, so that's the way to go.
Yeah. Carrie Decker was the one that is sorry, Carrie, it's not like showing your name on here. It's just showing you as Facebook user. Carrie, thank you so much for the nice comments. Again, no matter where you're watching this, feel free to comment below. Even if the live stream was long ago, Eric and I will watch the comments on this video and happy to help you out. So look, here's, and again, this topic of like writer's block, right? That is just an insidious bastard of a problem for content creators. And so all these little hacks that prolific content creators have figured out, this is what I've seen them do. This is what works. So like you said, Eric, if you don't like video, you can either get comfortable with it, or B, just like record it to video and then privately give that video to someone on your team and say, okay, I taught a bunch of stuff. I had some prompts. turn that into some articles or something like that. That's
Exactly.
because what I find is that most experts know a lot of stuff. Like if you've been doing what you're doing for any length of time, you could we could take that string on your back and we could pull it and you could probably talk about that subject for 10, 15 minutes pretty easily.
Absolutely. I honestly have to stop myself sometimes because I just like word vomit all over everyone. I genuinely love what I do. I love content creation, which is the backbone of reputation management. And then in there's, it involves you have to know Google's rules. So it's like a hybrid of a lot of different things under one umbrella of that reputation management stuff. But I genuinely love what I do. And sometimes I don't shut up about it if someone asks me the right question. And I have to kind of like tap myself in the back of the head and go, all right, breathe, let them talk now. They don't, you know what I mean? So sometimes I make myself feel a little dumb, but I absolutely love what I do. And if you've done it for any length of time, you have a lot to say about it.
Yeah. So let's talk about some ways that we can kind of check on ourselves. And number one, I'll kind of tee you up is do a Google search on yourself. Eric, let's talk about all the stuff that we should be doing to check ourselves out.
Absolutely. So whether you're a business or you're an individual that comes to me and the first thing I do, because it's generally, I'll Google your name or I'll Google your business name. And then I'll check the first 10 to 20 search results, depending on the severity of the problem. I'll also check Google image. I'll also check the news section, and I'll also check the video section of Google for the same thing. One of the first and foremost things that you guys need to do is type in your name in Google. This is kind of a neat thing that some people know about, some people don't. Hit space and then see what Google autocomplete says about you. That's something that a lot of people don't know about. And then generally, if I know that there's a problem, I'll know where to go because of what Google autocomplete tells me where I should go.
Wow. So if you have
yeah. So it's a big indicator of what's going on. And then what I need to do, because it gives me the negative keywords that are for that person's name or business, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I start
researching. Eric, in fact, let's take a look at this right here. Okay, so truth be told, there is more than one Josh Elledge, and this son of a gun who was on The Bachelorette has messed up my vanity search results. Look at this. So this is the wrong Josh Elledge. He's a nice guy, but he didn't make it past the first episode. Thankfully, I feel bad for the other Josh Elledge. Nice guy. We're actually now connected and friends. But yeah, so this is interesting. So that's definitely him, Minnesota Bachelorette. But this LinkedIn, I hope this is me. Podcast, that could be me. I'm not on TikTok, so Instagram. But that's interesting, right? So
I actually looked in to see if that was you on TikTok because I was doing some stuff like checking into your things.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm weird like that. I don't know if that's strange.
Wow, look at that.
But that's not you on TikTok for sure.
No. I don't know who this guy is. So Josh Elledge 4. And it's interesting. Someone actually did. I saw in the search results suggested they searched specifically for Josh Elledge 4. I think I own Josh Elledge on TikTok. So now it's and here's Eric, can we talk about this really quick too? I don't want someone to feel bad if they are not on if they're not on TikTok or whatever. Like, you don't need to be on TikTok. If that's not where your audience is, like, you can get there maybe sometime down the road, but I don't want people to get shiny object syndrome. And feel like they have to be someplace. I heard one person say this, like, make sure you've got good profiles, at least reserve your name, your username and stuff. But look, man, if you don't have a plan to be super active on Instagram and your customers aren't there anyway, like, give yourself permission to put that off for a season. I don't know. What's your advice on that?
I agree 100%. Build out the profile, get the name, register the handle in your name so someone else can't take it, because you never know when you might change your mind too. You never know when, this version of you now, doesn't want to be on TikTok, but 2 years from now, you all of a sudden you discover you have this new love for video, and then all you have to do is start. So I definitely I recommend this so much. I have my children's social media handles so no one else can take them. Right. So I have them and I can hand those over to them. So One's about to turn 11 at the end of this month. One's 6, and one is 8 months old. So I have all of those. That's how strongly I recommend that. And then the second thing is to get the domain names. But yeah, like Josh said, if it's not your thing, and that might play into you don't like being on video, then maybe try an audio app. But there's no one saying, like, don't let other people put this pressure on you that you have to be somewhere because it's the new platform. If it doesn't fit you and your personality and you don't like it, don't do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, Eric, when you work with someone and you do a reputation audit, can you explain what that process is? Like, how does that go down?
Yeah. So it actually, I manually do them. I run them through a couple tools that I use, such as SEMrush, SERPWoo, to see where the rankings have gone. SERPWoo is a great tool it's a monthly tool that anyone can get. And you can track rankings of people and look at rankings. So I can see where Josh alleged bachelorette search, where that one moved up and down in the search results over the last 3 years. So then if I actually had Josh in there in my system for SERPWoo, I could see it literally looks like those things that nurses have to keep your heart rate going up and down.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank. But you can tag everything, and then you can go, this is a negative URL, boom, that's not mine, or this is a positive URL. And then that's how you really distinguish what's going on. So I use a couple of tools like that, but that's not until down the road. The first thing I can do that you can do at home, start with Google, start with your name. If you're the business, start with the business, see what Google autocomplete suggests, check the Google search results for the first 10 pages, identify everything that's yours. If you have any negative URLs on there or anything, a lot of times someone will come to me if they think something's going to happen or if something already happened. So then I'll be able to go, oh, you have an article from the Tampa Bay Times on there, or there's plenty of bad sites on there that people don't want to get off of. Or
like rip-off report or something like that.
Report, consumer report, like a lot of different ones that are like that are really, really hard to get off of, but we've done it. And it's just a matter of time. And like Josh said, it doesn't happen overnight. So another thing that will shoot me in the foot that I tell every client, and a lot of companies like me started popping up. I've been doing this a long time. There was not a lot of companies doing this. They started popping up everywhere after they realized this. Some of those companies are really shady companies, so make sure you do your research if you're doing with anyone. And then these other companies will guarantee and promise that they can do this and I can remove this. I guarantee it, 30-day removal. You can absolutely not. You cannot guarantee it, and I won't ever guarantee you anything. I'll give you 10 to 12 examples of how we've always done it, what I've seen, and we always get great results. But then there's like 1 or 2 that we weren't able to accomplish. That's just being real and transparent. And that's how I'm always going to do business, right? So you can't guarantee anything. I've been doing this a long, long time. And, we have a lot of different techniques that we do. So don't let anyone tell you that they can do that. Because no one can control Google. No, even the people at Google can't even remove this stuff. Right? Like, so it's unreal. So do that, check your search results. And then after we check their search results, do they have images? We're identifying assets, we're identifying shared, earned, and owned assets, or we're identifying media. Then we'll go through and check their profiles. What's going on in their profiles? How are they used? And then here's a genuine sneak peek on my thought process. People want to be pushed to page 2 if there's something bad on page 1, right? We need 10 assets. There's 10 URLs on the first page of search results. We need 10 assets to come up for whatever you want to do. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Medium, your website, a microsite, LinkedIn, YouTube. What else we got, Josh? Give me one more real quick.
No, you got them all.
There's let's come up with another random asset. Let's say we got you published on an audio or Audible or something like that. We did an audio, we just did a book on Amazon, self-release published, and you got a URL for that. We got 10. That negative URL just got pushed down. Here's the kicker. You have to optimize every single profile. And then you have to, basically when I say optimize, make it filled out as best you can. Put what you do be very descriptive. Don't be afraid to get wordy, right? Make sure all your URLs are attached. use them consistently, posting 1 to 3 times a day on every single thing that I just mentioned. And what you're doing is you're using the authority of those websites to drive up the search results. And they're going to start ranking for those things the more frequently you're on them, and then push down the negative things that you're not adding to that article evermore. So it's just a matter of the authority of Twitter and Facebook and how big they are. And you're using that to ride up, the search results to push the bad stuff down. And then if you have 10 assets to be able to do that on over a long enough period of time, the bad search results will be on page 2. And then, so we do that for people while simultaneously trying to get the negative URL removed.
Yes.
Right. So we're working on plan A and plan B at the same time.
All right, just watching the clock here, Eric. Right now, if you go to royalreputation.io, thank you so much for doing this, Eric.
Yes,
you scroll down. Let's see if I can even show you exactly where this is. So here's Eric's website. And you click this yellow button right here where it says schedule a free consultation, and it comes up, and click on 30-minute meeting. And Eric, that's very kind of you. Again, this is just a kind of a reputation where you're going to kind of almost like look under the hood is a great way of looking at it. It's like, all right, let's see what we have going on here. And then, be able to provide them some solid advice. And again, that's at royalreputation.io. Not a sales thing. I mean, certainly if someone wants to work with you, I'm sure you're not going to stop them, but that's completely up to them. Mainly let's just help some good people, because again, here's this is my closing message on this. Every day the market is telling you when your reputation is messed up. They're just not telling you. They're telling you by their inaction. They're telling you, like, why did they ghost me all of a sudden? Well, it's because they just didn't have that degree of confidence. Even things like government contracting, like those variables that aren't necessarily in the facts and figures of the contract, but it's that confidence that comes from either your stellar reputation or like, man, these guys, it doesn't really look like they're very legit. Like that stuff all plays into it. You're losing business if you don't have that dialed in. So go talk to my good friend, Eric Grundhofer from royalreputation.io. Eric, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much
this
for
important
having me, Josh.
Subject. I know it's going to help some major sales here for folks that are watching us. So I really appreciate you taking the time to help out.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, everyone. We can do that call in real time if you'd like, and I'll do the audit with you, however you'd like to do it, but here to help.
Very cool. Thanks, Eric.
All right, thanks so much. Talk soon.